Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to an episode of Pat Taste Performance. Today we are in the office. I am editing this video. I'm having some trouble. I can't put the correct words on. I didn't want to drag out this video into a 4-part series or whatever, multiple series, how many episodes this is. This video about Mandingo is about an hour and a half long. And it's in 4K. Now, when I download the video, it shows an hour and, the over hour long video. Once I upload it to YouTube, it cuts it down to 38 minutes and it misses the rest of the video. So the only way I could salvage this video is to basically split this up into a series in about half-hour increments. So this video, some of the editing is gonna be a little rough, so please, excuse that. The beginning of this video, about the first 15-16 minutes, is basically breaking down the kit of what you get and what should be in the kit for my truck, a dually, and hopefully yours too. That's why you're here. And if you're here just to see this process, by all means, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And why we chose to spend this type of money and commit this type of effort to get this done. This kit is not cheap. So although I know some of you guys don't like the jibber and the jabber, it is what it is, and just take it. There is going to be a timestamp if you just want to get straight to the install video. Now, even though I'm going to say this at a certain point in the video again, do not let this video discourage you. Remember, this takes me a lot longer than most because I have limited time, limited knowledge, okay? And I'm video recording. So I have to make sure I'm trying to get things in the right angle, kind of, sort of, and also try and just streamline this process for me as well. So even though this video is about an hour and a half long, obviously it's going to take you a lot longer, but it is definitely feasible. It's definitely doable. Couple of things before we get into this video. Before you do the rear of your truck, make sure the front end, make sure your calipers, make sure your brake pad life is in good working order, your bleeder screws aren't snapped, because you don't want to find out when you have the rear all together and you have the brake lines hooked up and you're ready to go bleed everything, and then your fronts snap and they need to be replaced in the whole line. Now, the reason why I say this is because if you're not comfortable making your own brake lines, okay, I still firmly believe that you save a boatload of money if you do the install and do the system check yourself. And then you have a mobile mechanic come out and he can make the brake lines and help you bleed the system. Or, you help him bleed the system if he wants to use you and utilize you for a two-man help. Or I still think it's even cheaper, even if you have AAA, which is free towing, is that if, you do all the hard work and then you have your truck towed to your favorite, entrusted local mechanic, and he could, make brake lines, bleed them, and he could pick up the truck and see you later, love you, bye. Because how much do you think a mechanic shop is going to charge you to strip your entire rear end down, mount up everything, you know what I mean? It's still cost effective for you to do it yourself, even if you can't do the entire job yourself. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions about this video within this series, I'm going to try and pump out these videos as fast as I can. Ask them in the comments because other people are going to have the same question as you. There's no other videos on YouTube that are doing this. So this is the only one as of right now. And if you guys have any experience doing your own truck and there's something that I missed, drop it in the comments as well. All right, guys, I appreciate this. Later, and enjoy the video. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to an episode of Pat Taste Performance. Today, we are taking on one of the biggest undertakings of Mandingo and something that is not documented at all about your OBS GMT400 dually pickup truck. We are converting Mandingo from the drum brakes to disc. There are a couple of reasons why, and we're going to explain them, and they could be similar to yours or maybe different. Number one, flat out, number one is I am tired of the drum brake setup. Okay, part of it is my fault and part of it is not. I have to check our Bible, but I think we've had Mandingo maybe 6-7 years. Spent a lot of time, spent a lot of money. We wouldn't change it any other way, making it reliable and building it into the truck it is today and even going forward. With that being said, we are going on our 4th set of rear wheel cylinders. Now I also have to check our Bible too of how many miles we actually put on Mandingo since we bought it. And I'm not going to go through the details of how many intervals between each wheel cylinder, but part of it is my fault essentially because in reality, I should have replaced all the brake lines when I got it and maybe at some other point in ownership, flat out. It's a 96. This was pulled from Connecticut. The guy wasn't honest with us. I think this thing was sitting unused in a field somewhere, but a lot of rust that we ended up tackling and taking care of and still are battling to this day. I think that's another video for another day. When we first got the truck, we completely replaced everything. New brakes, front and rear, no expense spared, because we were doing the work ourselves. We wanted this thing to be reliable because it sat. He kind of hinted to us, but he didn't hint to us. But as we started diving deeper into it, it became very imminent that it did. At a 96 with 150,000 miles, maybe we should have seen the writing on the wall. We know it did tow a 5th wheel camper. We do see the holes in the bed for a 5th wheel. We do see brackets that this truck did have at one point, an airbag system, and a few other bits that I wish were still in the truck, but we'll come back to that. So anyway, as brake lines blow, we have to replace them and bleed the brakes. And what is attached to a wheel cylinder? Your bleeder screw. And those are snapping left and right. Even after I've taken the bleeder screw out when we put in new wheel cylinders, pop them out, put anti-seize, put them back in. We are still battling this issue. So Mandingo's off the road for 9 months, got it back on the road, took it for its first danger ride, and boom, popped the brake line. Thank God I blew a red light. Thank God nobody was hurt. We didn't get a red light ticket yet, but replaced the brake lines, actually ordered a whole new kit, and bleeder screw snapped. So that is it. I've had enough. I posted this a couple years ago and about converting to a disc brake conversion on this truck. And a lot of people were shying away from it, gave me some answers. My buddy who is a more seasoned and a better mechanic than me who would help me, I said, dude, I'm gonna buy a rear from a heavy duty truck that has disc in it already, same year. Let's just freaking slap that in. And he says, oh no, you're gonna have to re-gear it, new drive shaft. He was like, it's not going to be cheap. Let's just keep fixing this. So he helps me out a lot when it comes to brakes and brake lines. So I'm like, if he's willing to help, then we'll just keep pushing it. So what we've been doing when a bleeder screw snapped, because one time I got into a jam, he was bleeding me through the brake lines instead of right at the wheel cylinder. But those days are done, those days are over. Getting a new body style rear and trying to bolt it up is still not going to work because you still need to re-gear it, potentially new drive shaft, and you're gonna have to redo the shock balance and potential purchase. And so we're trying to keep this truck not a hodgepodge. It is a dually. It is not a hot rod in a sense. So that's kind of important to me as well. Number two is, God forbid the bleeder screws snap on these calipers, I don't have to completely take the whole truck apart, the brake system apart, to get a caliper. It's pop off the wheels, axle, you know, the axle, the wheels, hub. No, don't even have to pop off the hub anymore. Unbolt the caliper, slap the new one on, see you later, love you, bye. Also, another problem that we're having, we'll hide back at the truck, is we are having problems with wheel seals. I'm on my third set of wheel seals. We've done Timkins, National, and SKTs. I don't know what's going on. I'm probably thinking about ordering brand new hubs, but that's another thing for another day. So anyway, TSM makes this kit. You cannot buy TSM directly from them. They are the manufacturers for the kit. You could buy through Rustic 4x4 and then another vendor. The other vendor, from what I've seen, only has the complete Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am kit, and that's about $3 grand. Rustic 4x4, you could piece it together to what you need and what you want. And I had a couple of questions. They referred me to TSM, and I had a great conversation with TSM. It's a 2-person operation, husband, wife, machine shop. So as we're on the phone, I was talking to them. I actually hit the buy it now button, and he said 8 to 14 days to make my kit. As a courtesy, he emailed me the instructions beforehand so I could review it and call him back if I had any questions to make this installation go smooth. He says you should be planning on a long weekend. We shall see. This used to be a true bolt-on kit, but it is not anymore. You have to make your own brake lines or reconfigure your existing brake lines to work. He says he used to have brake lines included in the kit, the hard ones, but people were complaining and returning them because he didn't like the way they were routed. If you look on YouTube, you look on Google, at this point in time, there is zero information. The only thing you will come up is my post trying to push this further and further. Lugnut 4x4 makes a kit, but it is not bolt-on. You have to weld these brackets, we'll go over that, onto the axle. I could weld, I could join 2 pieces of metal, but a flap disc will make me the welder I'm not. And considering that this is a very, very important part, I says, you know what? I'm gonna have to pay somebody to weld it, because God forbid something happens, it falls on them and not me. I've seen one video where a guy worked on welding the brackets and he had some crazy digital measuring tool measuring all this stuff. It wasn't a caliper. I'm like, no thank you. So that's when I thought that this weld-on kit was worth the money. Now, my kit, I'm gonna put a screenshot of how my kit is spec'd out. Part of the reason why I'm saving some money is I do not need spacers. I run small semis. Mandingo is rolling on 19.5s. It came with 16s. I upgraded to the 19.5s off a Grumman's truck. If you're running 16s, I even think 16.5s, you need to get a spacer so you have wheel clearance. If you're running bigger than a 17, you will not have this issue. We're talking also about reliability, performance, weight savings, diesel shortage, diesel $7 a gallon and going up. So I guess every little bit counts. You are going to get these 2 big, tremendous boxes in the mail. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to just take everything out and lay it out. And I'm sure we have everything here, but I rather do this first. This is going to be a I'm not sure if I'm going to split this up into a series or just one long video. This is kind of going to be like a how-to, because when I was talking to this guy, he's like, oh, I've sold a couple of these kits before. Nobody sends me pictures. Nobody did a video. He's like, I'm not going to trace them down. Excuse me. Now, because of the nice conversation and human interaction I had with this gentleman, I said, you know what? I am going to make a video for you. Okay, so these are screwed in. So these can be undone. Now, as a courtesy, one of the important things I asked them is like, hey, is this kit completely custom one-off? If I have issues or maintenance where I need to replace a caliper or install new pads, okay, where do I go? Am I able to get these parts from an auto parts store or online? I won't be obligated to you guys for getting me these parts, and you know, if you guys retire or call it quits or the vendors don't want to sell your product anymore, I'm not going to be screwed. He says, nope, absolutely not. So in the instructions, they actually tell you what make and model these parts come off of. I will not reveal that out of courtesy and respect, but the kit comes the way it is. If you want to try and piece it together, that's on you. That is not me. I'd rather spend all the money with one person, and now they're married to me for all the help that I need. And then once the kit is already set and done, I can then, as time goes on, replace it. But these are very, very common. And I knew what the calipers came off of. I didn't know what the pads came off of, but that is all in the description. The only thing I'm almost positive is if you run into issues, you're going to have to get your stainless steel. So it comes with stainless steel brake hoses that come from the caliper. And then from there, you need to run a line from the stainless steel braided flex hoses to your hard lines. I think that's probably the only thing, if that goes bad, you would have to bring to a place and have them made for you. But I will double check that. I never asked them that. Has boxes of milk. Idea. These are the two rotors. So I'm only going to open up one. Oh, it's heavy. Now I thought maybe that's what's there. So we went with the performance rotor. Oh, I don't want to drop this. Can you guys see that? Yep, drilled and slotted. Because Mandingo has drilled and slotted in the front. I'm looking for my stainless steel braided brake lines. This is short. Okay. Yep. Brake lines. These are labeled. Brace bracket to axle housing. This is some other stuff. These look like shims of some sort. These are labeled, but not. These are our brackets. Two of those. Two of those. This right here is e-brake. And then these are the instructions. So my kit came out to 1,480 cents. Speaking of 1,480 cents, we'd like to thank today's sponsor of today's video, Mrs. Patty's Performance. This is going to be possible without her. She does not question out any purchases I make, does not break my chops one bit. She's actually excited to seeing this kit on the truck, and we will need her help later on. All right, let's go over this kit. All right, so here's the kit in all its glory. These are the bracket. Yeah, more brackets. These are shims. These are the base to the axle housing. These are the stainless steel brake lines. Drums and more hardware and more spacers. These are the calipers with the parking brake. So we wanted to retain that as well. This seems pretty tricky to adjust. Alright, so we're here at the truck. I already pulled the axle out. I wanted to strip it down for a couple of reasons, and I'm lucky I did, because look, I found that we had a blown wheel seal, an axle seal, which is like insane. This is all, I didn't clean this up one bit. This probably has less than 5,000 miles on it, and the seal blew. So tires come off, hub comes off, I'm sorry, tires come off, axle slides out, metal gasket, Allen key, this little clip, and then you need a special axle socket, which I rented from the local auto parts store. I'm going to keep it. It only costs like 15 bucks. Now, this part here is pretty special in the sense that, where is, there we go, we'll keep these here. These bolts right here come out. These were, I think, 19? Yes. So a 19 millimeter, and these four come out. You will definitely need an impact of some sort or a lot of brute strength. What I did, because these have never been touched, is I tightened it a little bit, because remember, bolts have memory. So you want to throw it a little bit, maybe just like a small, you know what, hair, and then you work your way out. And these bolts start to come out. So this is where I'm going to pick up. All this stuff comes out. This rusted backing plate comes out too. Parking brake comes out as well. And we will pick it up from there. Now this has basically been sitting for like a couple of days. So let me just get all the leaves and stuff out of here. We will clean everything before we will install it. And here we'll just talk about, yeah, see that? Before. And then the wheel cylinders and all that stuff has to come out too. Alright, so let's continue. All right, let's take a gander underneath. We'll see some other stuff going on. Out of my way. No, of course not. The sun is in the way. Oh. See the brake line? I tried popping off that brake line, and that is not happening. And you have the two bolts that hold the wheel cylinder in, and it seems like that one last big ass bolt in the back, and then we could free up, I don't know, we could free up this backing plate. And you see, this is what I mean about just cutting the brake line, thinking about just cutting the brake line and clamping it, because this has to be shortened anyway. So, damn this freaking sun. Alright, let's continue to strip this axle. And this just seems nice and easy, this plastic clip. So you just squeeze it and it comes out. You know, we'll deal with that later, even if we have to cut it out. Okay. Alright, so we just need to get this big nut out. I don't even know what size that is. This big nut right here. Alrighty, so to try and get better access to the brake line, and I don't know what size nut this is, but I pulled out, it's two 13mm bolts for the wheel cylinder. Now we could start trying to figure out what size this is. Because then once we get this big ass nut off, obviously the brake line too, that should be 5/16 or 10mm. Then we can get this big ass nut out, bolt, figure something out with this cable, and everything should come right off. Alright, so this is a 1 5/16 socket. I have no idea what the metric conversion is off the top of my head. I know you're supposed to use an impact, but I don't got one. I have this in the chrome. So let's... This just fit. Oh, this won't fit because I have the fucking gun on it. Damn it. Alright, so it's a 1 5/16. This is a Harbor Freight set that I painted yellow because one, it rusted real quick, and two, if I work at night and it goes missing, I know where it went. Alright, so it's not, so the 5 1/16 is on the outside. The inside is a different size. What size could it be? This feels snug, 1 1/8. So let's see what she's got.
the safety squint. You should be free. Here's the big ass bolt. So 1 5/16 on the outside, 1 1/8 on the inside. The metric conversion, I don't have the slightest clue. Yeah, of course, this is just not going to pop out, right? Because everything on here is rusted. Oh, okay, maybe not. All right, we are free. All right, let's get the wheel cylinder off. Jesus. Can you imagine if you had like a back, well, can you imagine, right? It's gonna happen. A backing plate rattle. This is all the work you would have to go through for a freaking backing plate. Like, how crazy is that? All right, so I just got a little tubing cutter and cut the tube. So now we have our axle exposed. Now we just gotta get this mamma jamma free. Now this is completely different. I don't know why, but I feel like I'm obligated not to cut this plastic piece that holds everything into the chamber. So I'm just going to squeeze the tabs, kind of like a lawnmower recoil, and pull it through. Alright, and we are free. Not too shabby. This needs to be clean because this is where everything slides onto. This right here is just a bunch of brackets. I think we'll clean that off too. Maybe we'll throw some paint on there. Oh, man. Hands are greasy. Far away. Don't want to ruin my camera lens. Now, because this has been sitting exposed to the elements for a few days, you know, before I put this on here, I'm going to get a piece of emery cloth and just run everything down. Me just painting everything is me just being anal. The whole axle's been painted. Alright, so let me go get the instructions. I kind of remember that one bracket needs to be inside, then the other side needs to come in. Let me go get the pictures.